Is it inflation, or are you just hallucinating? Are you seeing the economic data in your daily life, and is it all rosy? I would guess a resounding no. All the while, central banks around the world are reducing their dollar reserves and buying gold in record amounts not seen in history. Are central banks sensing weakness in the dollar and counterparty risk by holding it in reserve? If the smart money that usually run the printing presses are stocking up on gold, it makes sense that the ordinary investor prepare as well. If you think you may be falling behind in your financial goals, see the video description to access the free Inflation Retirement Calculator to make sure that you are on track. Also, please share your experience in the comments. To discuss the present economic environment and how investments in scarce and time-tested assets like gold and silver can help you secure your financial future, we will hear from former Congressman, author, and activist Ron Paul, macroeconomist Luke Grommen, macro analyst and investor Lyn Alden, economist, White House advisor, and author Jim Rickards.
I know a lot of Russians. I know Chinese. I've been to Beijing, Shanghai, Moscow. They're not stupid, right? These are some of the smartest, savviest, most forward-leaning players on earth. So obviously they know what they're doing. But on a more serious note, I've spoken to senior officials at the IMF. I've spoken to senior officials in the U.S. intelligence community. I've had discussions about this at the Pentagon. Clearly, what they're doing is diversifying away from the dollar. Take China, for example. I mean, they're bleeding reserves. First of all, their reserve position has dropped. They fear, and I think rightly, that we're going to try to inflate our way out from under our debt. That's the American way. Like we don't actually default. We just inflate the currency away. So we say to China, here's your $1 trillion. Good luck buying a loaf of bread. And there's not much they can do about it. They say, why don't they dump the treasuries? Well, they can. I mean, the treasury market is large, but it's not that large. It can't absorb that much selling. But what they can do is buy gold, which they're doing by the thousands of tons, by the way. These are enormous purchases that are going on. And so you sit there with your big pile of treasuries and your big pile of gold. Now, China is the greatest friend of the dollar. China doesn't want to destroy the dollar. They want a strong dollar, because if you had $2 trillion of U.S. dollar denominated paper, you'd want a strong dollar too. So they say, look, if the U.S. maintains the value of the dollar, our gold might not do very much, but our securities will be worth face value, and we'll treat that as a very valuable reserve. But if the U.S. does inflate the dollar and does destroy the value of the paper, what's going to happen to the gold? It's going to skyrocket. So what you have is a hedge position where it's like a seesaw. They own both sides of the seesaw, and one goes up, the other goes down, but they maintain the value.
Some version of that is going to be the model going forward. I think it goes into things that better hold purchasing power, right? So it's going to be gold, hard assets, and they go invest in inflation hedged assets along the Belt and Road, some gold. And so I think it'll be a broad-based exodus out of FX reserves, out of Western sovereign debt as FX reserves. That's a $12 trillion pool of money right now, probably 65% dollars. This was a fight that is always going to have to happen, because otherwise the U.S. is going to use the dollar system to choke out Russia, and then we're going to use the dollar system to choke out China, and then we're going to use the dollar system to choke out Europe, and probably in that order.
Just a quick interruption to say thank you for supporting our channel. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this video content. It really does make a difference. Also, a quick mention and shout out to one of our sponsors, American Hartford Gold. American Hartford Gold is a leading gold investment company that helps individuals and families diversify and protect their wealth with precious metals. Whether you are starting a brand new gold IRA or rolling over an existing account, the company will make this process seamless and stress-free. With endorsements from respected and renowned voices across America and one of the lowest investment minimums in the gold IRA industry, American Hartford Gold makes it easy to get started investing in precious metals. To find out more about American Hartford Gold and how this trusted gold investment company can help safeguard your coveted retirement savings, see the link in the video description to visit American Hartford Gold's official site to receive a free gold investing guide. Also, check out our video review of American Hartford Gold by clicking the link in the top right. Now, back to the episode.
After all these many years of great success, our dollar dominance is coming to an end. It has been said, rightly, that he who holds the gold makes the rules. That general rule has held fast throughout the ages. When gold was used and the rules protected honest commerce, productive nations thrived. Today, the principles are the same, but the process is quite different. Gold is no longer a currency of the realm. Paper is. The truth now is he who prints the money makes the rules, at least for the time being. Although gold is not used, the goals are the same. Compel foreign countries to produce and subsidize the country with military superiority and control over the monetary printing presses. Since printing paper money is nothing short of counterfeiting, the issuer of the international currency must always be the country with the military might to guarantee control over the system.
And what's interesting is it shows how powerful network effects are, because he's talking back in 2006 about dollar hegemony coming to an end. And here we are, 17 years later. These things are not quick changes, but that some of these decisions to do actions very much are likely tied to the United States' desire to maintain the global reach that it has with its currency, so that it can sanction any of these supply lines that it wants to, and so that it builds in that monetary premium for its currency by having every country want to hold, as much as possible on their reserve balance sheets. But I think going forward, we're entering a more multipolar world, either where you have separate currency blocks. So, for example, the yuan becomes the currency of choice in Asia, for example, while the dollar holds, much of the rest of the region, the world, basically split into 2 or 3 different major currency blocks. We're also seeing gold a little bit more emphasized in the core of the system. If you look at BRICS nations and BRICS and allies, they've been not really accumulating treasuries of the past decade, but they have been accumulating gold, and so that's been kind of a preference among a lot of them.
Russia, I think, probably is more strategic. They don't have all that many dollar-denominated reserves to begin with. They have a lot of euros. They do have some dollars, of course, but they're buying gold because I think they see continued financial warfare with the United States, and they want to reduce their vulnerabilities to freezes. I mean, the president can freeze Treasury securities because we, in the United States, control FedWire, we control the digital registry, we control the dollar-denominated payment system, but we can't control physical gold. And so Putin, I think, very intelligently is saying, all right, I'm going to buy the asset that the U.S. can't control, and that gives me more degrees of freedom. So some of it's economic, some of it's strategic, but all of it is very well thought out. And what I say to U.S. investors is, hey, if it's good enough for China and Russia, why isn't it good enough for you?
Gold holds a proven, time-tested track record as an economic constant that spans millennia. Why is it important to have an economic constant? What is the main question every person planning their retirement or building a business needs to ask themselves? Are we growing wealth or losing wealth? And how do we measure this? Gold is that tool. With a 5,000-year record that has withstood every economic business cycle, stock market booms and busts, global conflicts, and outlasting every faith-based fiat currency, gold is no one's liability. It builds wealth while preserving it. Owning physical gold and precious metals requires responsible sourcing of grades, purity, condition, the best prices, transparency, and most of all, security and storage. Gold IRAs are a tax-deferred means of owning physical gold and ensuring all these investing principles are met. We have reviewed and vetted the best gold IRA companies that meet all these requirements. See the link in the video description to access the free gold investment guides. If you have $100K of retirement savings to protect and want to take advantage of the best gold prices, see the link in the video description to sign up for the free Gold and Silver Web Conference hosted by Augusta Precious Metals. Thank you for watching.